Hey, in this video, I wanted to talk real quick about fractions. Fractions are something that a lot of people find really scary. When we have fractions, let's say we have 1/2, and we're going to add it to, let's say, 2/5. All right, we have an expression, we don't have an equation. Technically, we can simplify this. We should know from our past practices of working with fractions that we, in order to add these two terms together and simplify this, we have to create what's called a common denominator. We want to make it have the same denominator. Well, there's a couple things that I notice about this. One, my denominator in my first one is 2 and the other one is 5. We should have learned in our mathematics and previously that we want to create a common denominator. In this case, a common denominator would be 10. So in order for me to do that, I need to multiply 5 by 2, because 2 times 5 is 2. Now, I'm multiplying that by 2 over 2, because I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 2 in order to get 10 on the bottom. I need to multiply my first term also by 5 over 5, so that then when I say 5 times 2, that's also going to give me 10. And then I'm going to multiply the top, so 5 times 1 is going to give me 5, plus, I'm keeping that addition operation, and then I'm going to do 2 times 2, which is going to give me 4. And then this is going to simplify, and this is going to become 9/10. Okay? That easy, simple, straightforward, but it looks really complicated, and there's a lot of extra work doing this, all right? Now, there's something that happens that's rather quite magical when we're dealing with an equation. And I can actually turn this into an equation quite easily. If I say 1/2 plus 2/5, and I'm going to say equals x. Instead of just simplifying our expression, I'm going to tell it equal x. Now, I can do a similar method that we did above, and we're creating a common denominator. But what I'm doing here is I'm going to create, when we have an equation, I can do anything to the equation that I want to. I can multiply, I could add 2 to both sides. And as long as I do it to both sides, I can do it. That's the beauty of equations. Now, the reason this is important is because I can take that common denominator that we had above, that we used above, and instead of multiplying each term like we did above by, say, 2 over 2 and 5 over 5, I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by 10. Now, just to show you what's happening here, I'm saying 10 times 1/2 plus 10 times 2/5. And I'm also going to say 10 times x, which gives me 10x. Now, you might say, well, why does this make things easier? Well, watch what happens. When I have this is the same thing as saying 10 over 1. I know this bottom denominator, 2, will divide into 10. And 10 divided by 2 will give me 5. So this 10 times 1/2 becomes 5. Think about this. 10 times 1/2 is 5. All right? We can do the same thing with our second term. And we can say 10 divided by 5, which is 2. Then I'm going to say, so that becomes 2. Well, we're still multiplying here. So I'm going to say 2 times 2, which gives me 4. And then that's going to be equal to 10x. Now look at this. So now I'm going to add that. That becomes 9 is equal to 10x. Using what we know about equations, I'm going to divide both sides, the inverse of multiplication, because that's 10 times 2 since they're next to each other. I'm going to divide by the coefficient, which is 10. And that cancels out, becomes 1. And that leaves me with x on the right side and 9/10 on the left side. Or we can just, quite frankly, say 9/10. And as you can see, it gives us the same answer that we gave above. But it got rid of that nasty fraction, and it didn't give us the fraction until the very end. So we didn't have to worry about creating that common denominator. Now, we do have to have that understanding of a number and think, well, what number will both numbers divide evenly? So let's do another example real quick. Let's say I want to add 2/3, and let's say 1/4. All right, well, I'm going to create my equation. I'm going to tell that and say equals x. Well, we know both 3 and 4 will divide evenly into 12. Thinking about our common divisors, we want a number that both will go into. So I'm going to multiply this side by 12, and of course I'm going to multiply this side by 12 as well. Well, I want to think, well, 3 goes into 12 4 times. So that becomes 4 times 2 plus 4 goes into 12 3 times, and that's 3 times 1 is equal to 12x. So this becomes 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 3 times 1, which is 3, is equal to 12x. 8 plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. 8, 9, 10, 11, that becomes 11, is equal to 12x. Just like before, we're going to divide by our coefficient. That gives us x is equal to 11/12. Hopefully that helps you a little bit more on understanding fractions and helping you be a little bit more comfortable